Good evening, you handsome lot. On the ramp today, as you can see, it is the wrong way round. Simple reason why it's this way round is because I've got a driver's side rear wheel bearing to do. Now if the vehicle was on the other way round, it would be in the other corner, and it's horrible, dark and gloomy, and I've got no room to work. But yeah, that is what we're going to be doing, getting involved and replacing this wheel bearing. Now I think the first thing that we need to do on these, to pass experience, they are a little bit of a nightmare. We're going to try and get the dry shaft out of the hub first. I'm going to grab a 26, 32, bang that off like so. I'm going to get a good old punch. Oh. Well, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting that to put up a little bit of a fight. Let's just hope that the rest of the job goes that smoothly. Now I'm going to go, oh, I can't get my words out. Going to go underneath, remove the brake caliper carrier. I'm going to undo a few bolts with the suspension arms, which I'll show you in a second. Right, well, we've got the vehicle up in the air and everything looks, normally these, they're quite bad. Everything looks, normally on these, it looks corroded. But it looks alright. I'm quite shocked. But however, I am going to go for my lunch in a minute. So what we're going to do, we get some Launch Power Loop Plus. I'm going to give everything a little bit of a soak while we're going for lunch. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Right, well, we are back from lunch. It was a good munch, if I say so myself. Let's get on these bolts now and see if they come undone. Hopefully, they should. I can't believe how these bolts come undone. Normally, over the years, I have struggled like mad with these, with the all seasoned to the bushes and stuff. Well, that one is a little bit tight, but it will come out, I think. Of course it's come out. Of course it's come out. Right, let's drop the vehicle down. Right, well, I've gone ahead and removed the caliper carrier all as one. We just chucked it up there, out of the way. Saves dangling on the flexible. Now we have to remove the brake disc because it has got an inboard shoe. Now we're going to go through this little hole with the adjuster in a minute and just slacken the shoes off, and then we can get on the T50 and get it off. Right, well, I have now got the disc off, and I just knew that this job was going way too smoothly not to have any problems. Now I've taken, and this is a problem with like inboard shoes. Normally the drums wear all funny, but these are fairly decent, to be honest. But however, this little handbrake lever, that one there, is seized, and it just keeps the handbrake on. And if you have a little look, we've got hardly any handbrake shoes left. Now if I get my little pick, it might, yeah, see? Oh! That's how I feel. Anyway, I'm going to have to get some organised up. Where's my phone? Right, well, that crisis has now been overcome, and I've got some on their way from GSF. It should be here within the next hour. It's just 2 o'clock, an hour and a half sort of thing. I think the van's about 2:30, but yeah, we'll get them here soon. By the time the bearing's done, them shoes will be here. I hope, fingers crossed. Now, we've got to get these brake shoes off. They are a little bit fiddly on these. If you've never done them, they can be a little bit of a pain. Them shoes are now off. Now, a little bit of advice when you're doing brake shoes, if you're unsure where the springs go, you can always just get your phone out, take a bit of a picture. But as I thought, as I suspected, that little pivot arm there for the handbrake has seized. So we're going to have to get that and free it off. And we're going to have to do exactly the same on this side as well. But not the wheel bearing, just the handbrake shoes. Now I've gone ahead and removed the suspension knuckle. Now this little tool, once you've removed your pinch bolt, it goes into the back there and it just spreads it open ever so slightly, and that knuckle then will fall straight off. Brilliant. Simple design. Now before we go getting this bearing out, just to save damaging the ABS sensor, we have removed it from the hub. Now it has come, this time it has come out relatively easily. Now what I normally do is remove the retaining screw and give the sensor a little bit of a twist with the pliers. Now if it doesn't come out first time, I'll probably try and work around it, if that makes sense. But we've got the sensor out, it has come out fairly simple. Now we need to get that dry flange out of there. I'm going to use a big socket and a big hammer. Now to get that dry flange out, I am a little bit old school and I do like using a bit of a hammer. 30mm socket, straight on the dry flange, and that now rests on the vise. If I hold it one side with my left hand and get my copper hammer now and give it a good smash, and it should, and I mean it should, come out. Beautiful. I've done that before, haven't I? With that dry flange out, you can actually see how rusty them bearings are. Now, we've got a little bit of a circlip. Now, these circlips can be, especially when they've got no holes in them, they can be a little bit of a nightmare to get out. It's got to come out either way. It doesn't matter whether it takes me 5 minutes, 10 minutes or an hour, that has to come out. Now I'm going to show you a little bit of a tip which I have learned over the years with doing these circlips with no little holes in. I used to use the oxyacetylene, but now I'm using the pickler heat inductor. Yes, I absolutely love this tool, and you're going to find out now. What I do, I get the handle right in there, get it nice and hot. I am absolutely awesome at. Then I get a little pick, and I get it in there when that's glowing, and I just bend the end of it a little bit like that, and then that circlip now will just fly out, rather than spending hours there and, oh, how am I going to get this off? Simple, warm it up and bend it. Now to get the bearing out, we do need to play a little bit of Jenga. Space it down the bottom there so the bearing can be pressed out of it. And we can just get on our ram, and it should just press out nice and easy. Now before we put the brand new bearing in, make sure that it is going the right way round, because it has got a magnetic strip on it. Can you see? And that needs to go down. But before we put it in, make sure that everything is nice and clean, all the surfaces. Clean out the area where the circlip goes so it goes nice and tight. And we're going to get a little oil can and give it a little bit of engine oil, and that will help the bearing press in. Oh, I've got cramp. And to press the bearing in again, we've got to play a little bit of adult Jenga. Now, use the old bearing to put on top of the new bearing when you're pressing down. Now what I've got down the bottom here is an old starter motor housing, and that fits perfect on the underside of the hub. And then we have a little bit of magic now. That wheel bearing is all pressed in, and I've put the brand new circlip back in. Now if you haven't seen me before, how I get them bearing races off, I am going to show you right now, and you will be amazed. Well, I was going to show you how I got that bearing race off the dry flange, but I don't know what it is with my camera at the minute. It seems to be deleting random clips. Anyway, I've got it off, and we need to press it back on. Again, some more adult Jenga, and don't forget to put a socket on the bearing. I'm going to get this now pressed in, and as you're pressing it in, always make sure that it is nice and free to turn. Don't go too mad, give it a little bit of a pinch up, and that now is all the way home. Right, now while I've pressed everything into that hub now, I'm going to chuck everything now into a little bit of a time lapse. Now Adam Ironson I and Son in Isle of Wight. I am so glad that I've convinced you to do these wet belts. Oh, my wheel bearing almost fell off. Yeah. Do a couple of more a month and your missus wants to be taken down the aisle in 25 instead of 26. No, I'm only joking. Right, should we get this chucked back into a little bit of a time lapse? I think so. So now, with a little bit of magic, that hub is now back on the vehicle. Now, I'm still waiting for my brake shoes to turn up. So I have come round and stripped the passenger side ready. Now, this side, the little pivot for the handbrake, that is nice and free. Now, the other side, what have I done with it? Is it on the ramp? Yeah. It's on the ramp. Now, I have unseized that, and it moves nice and freely. So look at the state of me. You can tell I've done some dirty work today. Covered in it. Well, just in the nick of time. They are running a little bit late because the weather has turned horrific. And round here, when the weather's bad, the roads get bad. My brand new shoes have just turned up and it is 4:10. Can we get these shoes on and this vehicle finished by the time I go home? Absolutely. Absolutely. We ain't done bad for time, have we? Got one side done. Got two sides done. And it's, whenever you've done these wheel bearings and brakes and stuff like that, always give the wheels a little bit of a spin and make sure that the back plate isn't catching. Because there's nothing worse when you get it off the ramp and the back plate's catching. You've got to get it on a jack and bend it back out the way. Just always make sure that the back plate isn't touching. Right. Let's get it down. Whew. Right, it's been an emotional last half an hour, 45 minutes sort of thing. Right, because we've had all the brakes disturbed, give the pedal a good pumperoonie, make sure it's nice and hard. And also the handbrake lever, it is working. It's probably too tight, but it'll sort itself out in a couple of days once the new shoes have bedded in. There we have it. That is one wheel bearing and handbrake shoe, unexpected handbrake shoes on a Freelander 2. Now, these sort of vehicles, you can expect to run into problems like sometimes it's not always clean sailing like it was at the beginning of the video towards the end where we needed shoes and one thing and another. But that is totally unavoidable. I've now got 15 minutes, put my tools away, download this video off the camera to my phone, chuck it through a bit of editing and try and get it up for about 7:30, 8 o'clock for you lot to watch. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please hit that like and subscribe and I will see you, might be sometime tomorrow. But we'll see what's happening. Anyway, let's get it sent.